And welcome to Geekonomics, everybody. Brian just passed out in the middle of the intro. Hey, everybody, it's Brian. He's back. He's alive. Good deal. He's in the middle of packing up all of his stuff and moving out. He's on his way to Paraguay. He's moving down there to solve the riddle of the Riddler.
This stuff is the stuff I would be selling if this was a normal summer. These totes are my BK Toys totes.
Yeah.
And I have
a web store.
I have acquired a lot of stuff over the winter time for my February show, which I did one show in February. We did two shows.
Yeah.
We did and then since then nothing. So I've been selling stuff on eBay.
There you go.
Yeah.
And John's here with his crazy hair. He's trying to come up with some crazy plan to take over the world.
I love it. I love it, John.
Yeah.
I'm happy everybody is
Dr. Francia, they're gonna call him. Dr. Francia is.
Yeah. I'm happy
the world with the diaper baby poop machine or something.
Where are you going with this, Mark?
I don't know. Watching DC Universe shows.
Yeah, I'm happy everybody has power. Everybody's healthy. I know John and Kristen, you guys went to your Kristen's aunt's place, which was good. And, Hutzel survived. He survived. And all our friends survived the crappy storm.
Yes.
And, yeah, man, it really put it was like one of those things that you just really F's up the week. So, like, today, I to my mind does not feel like Monday. It does not feel like Monday at all.
No, I think it's also
I'm all thrown off.
The storm and the whole lockdown situation. Time is totally lost. There's no concept of time anymore.
Right. Every day is Tuesday. Every day is Tuesday in my book.
Blur's Day, as I've heard it called before.
But Mark, so today I know we're going to do our favorite team ups later on.
Yeah. Yes.
And I know this has been a crazy week. I don't know if anybody has anything worth talking about that they did this week, but
well, after the month that was the power outage, which for us was only like 21 hours, but even like between Claire and I, we were talking, it felt like a week in just those one day. Because you don't really realize how much time slows down. We don't have technology or
power,
television, or anything to do anything with.
Right.
But once that came back, Claire downloaded the HBO Max, and so I've been HBO Maxing all weekend. I watched The American Pickle, the Seth Rogen show movie, which was a movie. It wasn't hilarious. It wasn't great, but it killed an hour and a half. Then I watched the Harley Quinn cartoon, 2 seasons of that.
I want to watch that. I heard it was good.
It's really good. It's really worth it. And then I just started watching Doom Patrol last night. So like 2 episodes into that.
I probably will never watch that. But the Harley Quinn cartoon I am interested in watching.
Yeah. Well, I'm just looking for content at this point. It's just anything new, basically.
I guess so.
I just need something that would do.
I know.
Claire had Friday through Sunday. She worked 12-hour shifts each day. So you're just sitting around the house by yourself. You can only play so many video games. And I tried to not come into my office room here and work on my computer. I'm trying to actually separate it, like my work from my casual hanging out area.
Yeah.
So you start, if you don't, I found if you don't do that, it's kind of like you kind of just lose yourself. You don't really know when work is and when you're not working.
Yeah, you got to set yourself time. Like for me, it's like 9 in the morning until I get everything done. That's my rule. And after 5 o'clock, work is done. Work is done.
So like 9 to 10:30 morning.
It depends. And then if I have a meeting that night, then I have to break up the day. So then I get my normal work done in the morning, and then I have to cover a meeting from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Which I had a lot of meetings last week because of going back to school in Massachusetts and the storm. So it was quite interesting. Longmeadow's going to do remote. Everybody seems to be doing remote, which is great. But Marc froze. Francia, did you see Marc? Did he freeze on you?
That's an awesome scene that he froze on.
I am the host now. You are the host.
You have the power.
I have the power. Real quick, because my God, this week sucked. It was just a lot of meetings and a lot of no power, and trying to help out others in this crazy time. So I think we started watching season 2 of Dead to Me, which is awesome. I love that show on Netflix. And God,
Did you finish the season 1 of Umbrella Academy?
No, I finished episode 2 though. I finished episode 2. It was good, but I just have to I'll get into it. It's harder to watch a show when I'm watching it by myself. If I was watching with Allison, it'd be much easier. But we watch a lot of crime documentaries and stuff. So,
you're an old man.
Yeah, I am.
So yeah, I'm up with the little guy in the middle of the night, and I just flip on a TV show and just stream it over.
Just let it rip. Marc is back.
Hello.
Welcome back to the party.
Internet.
God, I know.
Comcastic, baby. It's Comcastic.
So John, I know you lost power for a very long time. You said you were reading some books. What have you been checking out?
Well, a lot of them are like D&D oriented books. I do a lot of kickstarting. So I probably have at one moment anywhere between like 2 to half a dozen kickstarted books on waiting. So those things trickle in over time, and they kind of just stack up. And each one of them, is like 300 to 500 pages. So and then I never really get time because it's hard with him sleeping on me at night. It's easier to just flip on the TV than to like turn the light on so I can read.
Right, makes sense.
So without having the ability to work and anything else, I just had a like flashlight, just like reading.
The old days, underneath the sheets, pull a sheet over your head.
Yeah.
So your parents can't yell at you for reading comic books at night.
So I basically spend most of the time reading and then writing. Basically, I read things, I get different ideas, and then my campaign that I write, I kind of like write it in a layered approach. So like the first pass I do is basically an outline with notes, like this, like a flow chart. This. Then my second pass, I write it down into like words, and then the longer I have like the word thing, that second stage is like my default that I want to get to before I actually play. But if I have interruptions like Tuesday being canceled, then I basically just start putting layers on top of it. And I'll put like Easter eggs and like include things that are going to be coming advanced and like kind of layering them in so they're more foreshadowed. And I just keep going over with layers and layers. So the more time I'm given, the deeper the story becomes. But
that's cool. And you guys don't play again until what, next Tuesday?
Yeah, next week.
I'm glad they
I'm not gonna
canceled.
make so.
What?
I'm on vacation next week, so.
Well, you can't go on vacation? I'm on vacation this week.
Well, I'm actually going away for a couple days.
You can't leave the state, Marc.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't. They're gonna pull you over. Where are you going?
I'm not telling you, so that way you can't find me.
Actually, me and Allison has this week off, and I'm still working in the morning, but we're on our staycation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wow, Marc's not going to be there next week. I mean, well, John will have to now he's going to have to figure out a way to have your character be away on vacation.
I'm pretty sure he'll figure it out. He's good at that stuff.
I know he is.
There's rumors of a possible one-off tomorrow, but I don't know if that ever went anywhere.
I don't know. So many people said they couldn't make it, so
Oh, okay.
I don't know if Matt's gonna have like just enough people to run something himself. But
Yeah.
your sister can't make it. Yeah,
Oh.
I don't think your brother can make it. Neither of the other two DMs can make it. So pretty much just be Matt running.
Yeah, that
something.
kind of yeah.
So gentlemen, let's move on to the news. Sports news. Sports news. I know baseball's still having a hard time.
Just the St. Louis Cardinals. Everyone else is fine. Just the
Yeah.
St. Louis Cardinals can't seem to get their act together.
They can't
Come to
stop.
find out, I guess they went to a casino,
I heard, yeah.
which makes no sense.
Why? Why are these baseball players so stupid?
I don't know.
Now the question is, why are people so stupid?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
I got the guy from VH, Weird Al, UHF. Why are you so stupid? Stuck in my head. But seriously,
Yeah,
you're going to a casino, but the rules are you're not supposed to leave your hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even like a thing that they might even got it from there, but just the fact that you left the bubble that you're in, supposedly.
Right.
I mean, just, I'm sure
The
people
bubble.
can still go to casinos and not actually get the disease. It's just don't like. Are you right there, Brian? Having some
I'm getting
issues there?
comfortable. I'm getting
Oh, okay.
comfortable.
You're like all over the place there. You're bouncing
Yeah.
all over the place.
Getting
Got a
comfortable.
fancy blanket behind you. Anyways,
My hockey blanket.
but yeah, so that happened. They've been out of playing for 2 weeks now. It feels like.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the sports all
Yes,
happening
hockey blanket,
all at
yes.
once. Yeah. Mark, you're way behind. Can you
Yeah,
hear
I
me?
know. Yeah, my internet is unstable.
Yeah.
So.
So I know anything else in the sports world, Mark, or is that it?
College football is possibly not going to play at all.
Right. UConn said no, right? They're
Yeah,
not,
which really doesn't mean anything since their football team's terrible. So
but it's still that doesn't matter. That means
they weren't going to be playing at all anyways
Yeah.
because they're so bad.
Zinger.
Zing. But yeah. So I know the other bigger schools now are talking about pushing everything till spring.
Right. That's smart. That's what they should do.
Yeah. But the hockey bubble's going strong.
And the
they've had
basketball
issue-
bubble.
And the basketball bubble. And NASCAR. So there's still sports out there. The NFL's talking about they're still coming back in the fall. They're going to possibly play more than just Sundays. They might have some games on Fridays, some games on Saturdays. Those
Are they
take
gonna-
over. Those take over and just be football.
Are they
every day.
gonna do a bubble?
No. They're doing the baseball kind of thing where it's just you play in your stadium, no fans, that kind of thing.
Oh man, I saw the Boston Red Sox game with the fake fans out there and the fake cheering.
Yes, yeah, they use the crowd noise from the video game.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, it's just like on a
NHL
loop.
video game.
Coming
No.
to fake fans and things, watching late shows and comedy shows lately, do you find it more or less funny when they lay jokes followed by silence compared to when they added
Yeah,
the pause, there's a joke, laugh. Doesn't it
Yeah.
feel a little different when it's just empty
Like
space?
Jimmy
after-
Fallon is definitely less funny without people
They're
laughing.
like, ha ha ha, and everyone's just like,
Yeah, crickets. Chirp, 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 chirp.
Yeah, it's a rough market, man. I mean, I've gotten used to John Oliver.
I mean, you definitely could they definitely could do canned laughter, and it would be fine. No.
Oh God, no, please.
I mean, CBS has been doing it for years.
because none of their shows are funny. Oh,
Exactly.
hey,
Bazinga.
Bazinga. Speaking of which,
Speaking of
but
CBS.
John Oliver, I've gotten used to. So for me, he feels
His
fine.
is different because he doesn't do the laugh pause break like a Jimmy Fallon would do. A Jimmy Fallon would
he
say the
doesn't
joke
build in
with
empty
laughter. And,
This is hard, Mark. You're really. It's like you're all over the place. Like John's talking
You
and
just have
Mark's
to
talking.
blink more often because I love it every time it pauses with you with just your eyes closed. You're just
I know. I thought Mark froze. I don't know what's going on with Mark.
It's freezing on my side. See, like, did you guys are in different, like, it's like freezing on Bryon cleaning his eye out and John drinking a drink. It's just,
I love this. But yeah, John, I
Yeah,
agree.
hey.
It is awkward. Like, it is very awkward. I mean, like, John Oliver is fun. I watch The Daily Show. That's been working out fine. But, like, talk show hosts that are feeding off a crowd, it is weird. It is weird. It just comes off weird, especially like a Jimmy Fallon or someone like a James Corbin or something like that. Yeah, it is it is very awkward. Mark's frozen again.
No, he's just looking at a 5 juice of heat.
He's frozen again. So, Mark, I guess you finished with sports. We'll move on to the news. This is gonna be comedy gold.
Yes.
With those pregnant pauses you put in there for laughter, Mark, you should put canned laughter. every
I'll
time you
put a
breathe.
canned laughter in after the fact.
Yeah,
It'll be all new to me because I don't really know what you guys are saying until later.
right.
So, if you say anything about me, I'll know later on.
Yeah, just like last week.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to go to the news, Mark. I have an update, and this kind of correlates with on movies. John, I know last week we talked about what if these companies get desperate enough and they throw their big tentpole films on streaming services.
Disney Plus.
Well, here's an interesting one. Disney has decided to put Mulan on Disney Plus, but it's going to cost you $30 to rent it. $30.
Extra.
Yes. So in retrospect, it will cost you $37 that month because you got to pay the $7 to have Disney Plus and $30 to rent it. So it's interesting. The CEO of Disney said basically this is just potentially a one-off. This is not going to be a new business model, but it potentially could be. They just don't know.
Idiots buy this. We'll do it again.
Right. If this does very well, they'll do it again. But it's interesting because $30 is a lot of money, and I feel like for VOD, Trolls did very well with a $20 rental, which $20 I feel like is kind of like a sweet spot because you're getting a movie early access, you're getting it at home. But $30, a family of 4, potentially that would be worth it because you'd spend more than that.
Well, if you have more than two people, it's cheaper.
Yeah, but in our area, we pay like what, $8 for a movie ticket, $10. So
no, that's only if you get the discount tickets. If you actually go to the movie theater,
it's like $12.
It's like $13.
Yeah.
For an adult.
But still, for 2 people,
that's
it's
$26.
It's still cheaper.
So it's $4 cheaper.
Yeah,
than
$4
if you
cheaper.
buy it.
But
then you own it, though. You own the movie.
Yeah, they also made it so you own it. The only thing with the owning thing is...
Wait, they said you own it? I think it's a rental.
Yeah, you own it.
You can watch it forever without having to, like, be on Disney Plus.
You own it as long as you have Disney Plus.
Oh.
But
when do they update that?
No,
that was in the original thing.
But what I don't get is it's a Disney property, so eventually it would go to Disney Plus one way or another. So
but I think it's like they said not till like January, I think.
Yeah, but owning it as long as you have Disney Plus means
you're not owning it.
You basically get access to it earlier than someone with just Disney Plus.
Yeah, basically.
Basically, you're paying $30 to get it a few months earlier than someone that just has Disney Plus and waits a few months.
Right, right. And you don't own it. You mean you just have, like you said, you have
that's what they're using.
Yeah, but that's how they portray it. You own it and you can watch it forever.
You own the rights to watch it before.
As long as you have Disney Plus.
Yeah. It's interesting because I do feel if if this does well for them, this is going to be coming out in the first week of September. I'm sure Black Widow could be potentially next. I didn't think that way last week when we had this discussion, but after hearing about the Mulan thing, I kind of feel like it could be a testing ground to see how this works for them.
It's also a good way to like get rid of like if they do a Marvel movie and they're not too sure if it'll do well in the theater, throw it on a Disney Plus. We can dump it there and then.
Well, it's funny
have to worry about it.
you mentioned Marvel movie because New Mutants is still scheduled to come out in the theater August 28th. They have not announced.
I think if
anything
this
else.
does well, New Mutants is going to follow.
I agree.
I don't know why it doesn't. Like
I don't. Yeah.
they
I don't know
have
why.
Other bigger movies to put in the theater than something they just inherited.
Well, it's funny. I mean, it's funny you say that, John. I agree. It's like we know August 28th is going to come, and no theaters are going to be open. So just put it on Disney Plus at this point. Just put it at Disney Plus. I mean,
Wasn't there the thing with the New Mutants thing that it's still part owned by Fox?
no, Fox doesn't
Like,
exist anymore.
But they get like a back end of it. They get like a cut of the sales.
I
Fox
don't
Films is part of Disney now.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but I'm saying I think that was part of the deal when they purchased the whole thing went down. Any movies that were still in the works of being released, that were produced, that were made by Fox, the back end of it, money goes.
Yeah, but there is
part of
no
it
Fox
goes to
anymore.
Fox. I know, but it goes back to the company, the
The
Fox
company is
Corporation.
part of Disney now.
I know. I'm not
There
talking
is
about
no-
that company. I'm talking about the
What?
actual
Just
Fox
because there's
Corporation.
another company called Fox, they're not connected.
I get
not the
that.
same
But I'm telling
company.
you that when the Fox Corporation sold 20th Century Fox to Disney,
how about I'll look
part
this
of the
up
deal
while Marc
was,
is-
I believe.
How do you
that,
know? How do you know this was?
I remember that was a big thing when they first were talking about the purchasing of Fox, was that Fox was like not going to just give them all these. They weren't like, that was a big sticking point, that Disney was like, we don't want to have to pay you money to release these movies that have already been produced. Like some movies got shelved because of it, but Fox was like they said the New Mutants movie and stuff like that, that they would still release the movies, but they'll be underneath the Fox banner. But there was some of the money was being, as part of the deal, Disney is going to pay Fox partial money of the profits kind of thing. Like I don't know if they paid them ahead of time,
You know
like
what?
and
I
just
have no
paid
idea.
them a portion or something like that. But I know that was like a big thing.
I can't find anything on it, but who knows? I mean, that's neither here or there. It is still scheduled
Because there was
to
like
come
that
out
movie,
August
and there was
20th.
like I think 2 or 3 other movies that were coming out. Yeah.
I don't know, but it's interesting with the Mulan thing. I feel like this is it's a Disney testing ground. I didn't know the fact that you could still watch it endlessly until you got rid of Disney Plus.
Yeah.
That does sweeten the pot a little bit, I think. But still, I still think $30 is a lot, especially when a lot of the people in this country do not have a job right now or cannot pay for groceries right now because of the pandemic. So I feel like $30 is just kind of, it's like if we weren't in a pandemic, I would just be like, that's Disney being Disney, $30. But I kind of feel like 20 would have been a better. But I feel I honestly feel it's going to do well because people want to see it.
Yeah, I think they'll still make. They're not going to make their like as much as they would if they released it in the theater. But I think it's going to be like
they will though because now they get 100% of the profits. They get 100% of that.
But I'm saying more of like not everyone has Disney Plus. Like,
I know
the people that would go to see this movie. Like they won't get like the fringe fan of like a person that's just like, oh, I'll check out that movie because it's in the theater, that kind of thing. I'm saying they're not going to make like that kind of money. They'll make their money, but they're not going to make like
yes, you're right.
If they release in the theater kind of money.
You're right because it's locked off to certain demographic that might not have a job. They cannot go. They cannot spend $37 to watch one movie. I totally agree there. I mean, it's going to make its money. But it's not going to be as big as if it would be in the theater.
And the flip side of the flip side of that story is the fact that like movie theaters are like flipping out about this thing happening. Like there's been like viral videos of like theater owners like destroying the stand-ups that they had for Mulan when it was going to come out in the theaters, and like posting them online saying like, we're not going to air any more Disney movies, we're going to do this, we're not going to do that.
We had the same problem. You know what though? We had the same problem when Universal put Trolls out, but now AMC and Universal worked out a deal, potentially allowing these movies to come out on VOD 3 weeks after they're in the theater. So they're upset now. I understand that because the theater's a dying thing right now, and I don't want to see them go away. I love going to the theater, but in a situation like this, people need to still make the money to keep the business going.
So they have this ongoing philosophy that the theater concept is going to die away, and it's going to be the resurgence of drive-ins.
Yeah, I mean, drive-ins will have a resurgence now, but they'll go back to being the way they were in a couple of years when the pandemic kind of subsides.
Whenever this subsides.
Right. But drive-ins are great, but drive-ins are just airing old films right now.
Well, I know what I'm saying. If theaters, if the like Disney's and that start putting out like a Mulan into just drive-ins, then you got a whole other keg of worms you could open up there.
I know, but the only thing that sucks, drive-ins close when weather gets cold, so then
up
you got
here.
nothing.
I mean, we only the northern states are the only ones that have that problem. Like drive-ins are open all year round down south.
But how many drive-ins exist down south? We don't know.
Not that many now, but if someone were smart, they'd restart the drive-in business.
But also, speaking of movies, this is kind of interesting. Disney yet again is making a live-action version of one of their old cartoons. Some are good, some are bad, some are just in the middle. But the Pinocchio is their next one, and they have Tom Hanks. He wants to play Geppetto, which I think is really cool because it's going to be directed by Robert Zemeckis, who did Forrest Gump, Castaway, Polar Express.
Yes.
So I kind of feel like this is like, I'm actually really excited by this. You have Tom Hanks, Robert Zemeckis, Pinocchio, Disney. I kind of feel like this could be the first, like, well-received, well-loved live-action film. I mean, I know a lot of them come out. A lot of them are mixed reviews. I mean, but Pinocchio,
I think a creepy movie.
Why?
Pinocchio itself was pretty creepy.
Yeah, Pinocchio could be a CG. Obviously, will be like a
the
CG
story
doll.
of Pinocchio was not like a lighthearted film.
Well, I mean, he wants to be a real boy.
But there's like the whole scene where he goes to like the dystopian island and
that's cool.
Get turned into donkeys, and then like his dad gets swallowed by a whale, and
Jiminy Cricket, they go in the whale. I love that scene. I love Pinocchio live action.
There's a lot of creepy, a lot of rough stuff in that movie. That wasn't one of the more like happier movies.
Well, neither was Dumbo.
Storyline wise,
neither was Dumbo. They did Dumbo.
But
But I'm actually excited for Tom Hanks and Robert Zemeckis to reunite. That's kind of cool. And I got one.
So Tom Hanks, did you say Tom Hanks would be Geppetto?
Yeah. The role he was born to play, I think. I think he'll make a great Geppetto. I got I think he'd be better at Jiminy Cricket, but that's just me. Jiminy Cricket? No, because that's going to be animated.
Yeah.
You know it's going to be a little CG Cricket.
But still, he could be the voice.
He could do both.
He could. He did it in Polar Express.
Didn't he play like almost all the characters in Polar Express?
Like 7 characters in Polar Express, something like that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Mark, I know you're going to be excited about this news. Robert Eccleston, Christopher Eccleston, is coming back in Doctor Who.
Yes.
As the 9th Doctor for an audio series.
Yeah. A lot of previous doctors have done that.
But this is the first time he's ever come back.
Yeah, he hasn't come back, but everyone else has.
13 episodes for the BBC to come out in a box set.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he didn't even do the 50th anniversary movie, which
No, he's been very anti the Doctor Who since he left.
yeah, well, he had a bad
It took
experience.
a while. He had a tough. Yeah, it was weird.
I mean, he was the first one that brought Doctor Who back.
Yeah, that was a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and I think looking back, he was a great doctor, but you know, he's a great actor. I think he was amazing on The Leftovers.
Well, he was great in The Leftovers.
He's just a fantastic actor. I'm so happy he's going to reprise his role because I do miss him. So I thought that was kind of cool news, and it'd be interesting if we get it over here. Like if they're going to put it as like a podcast form or an audio book.
They do. Yeah, they ended up putting it like their the BBC America Radio or whatever their audio thing.
Yeah, starting in May of 2021. It's been 15 years.
And then the other thing that they were doing, yeah. And sometimes on BBC America, I know BBC sometimes takes the audio versions and they like cartoon them. That way you can.
Oh yes, you're right.
I know they did that with some of the old ones that they couldn't, like the video was lost, but they had the audio of it.
The old Doctor
Like,
Who's,
really,
right?
really old ones, yeah. So they could always do that.
Yeah, true. All right. Any other news, John, Mark? Anything before we hop into the topic of today?
Now, did you see? Before we get into the topic of today, did you see this thing through? I saw it on Facebook a couple times and saw it some other places. That Atari's coming back.
The Atari, it has a emulation system coming out. I don't know if I think it's coming out later this year. It's caused a lot of controversy for the retro gamers. Like, it's very expensive, and
It's like $400
putting it together. So right, yeah, people are not happy with it at all.
Yeah.
It's gotten a lot. It's been very questionable practices behind it. The company putting it out, I think it was a Kickstarter actually.
Indiegogo, I saw.
Oh, okay, Indiegogo. So
Yeah.
people are not really happy with that price tag, especially for an Atari, retro Atari.
Yeah, no, because it's like 8-bit.
Yeah, I mean they kind of, Nintendo. They really started the movement with the Nintendo Mini, the Super Nintendo Mini.
Yeah.
Then you had a Genesis Classic, which was great. But then you have had some hit and misses. PlayStation tried to do one. They didn't really succeed with their selection. And then now Atari doing this 400, it just seems kind of odd.
Like the game kind of thing.
Yeah, ColecoVision did one. The Jaguar. I mean, they're all doing one, but it's $400. I mean, Jesus Christ. It makes no sense why it's so much money. I mean, it looks cool. I would never buy one.
It's like the 2600 kind of.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't. The people who backed it, they'll get theirs, I guess. But I don't really see it selling a lot, or if any.
I saw that. I know you're our resident retro gamer guy, so that's why I wanted to ask your opinion on it, because it seems like a strange thing to kind of like popped up on my Facebook the other day. I'm like, what the hell's this thing?
Yeah, like a lot of the people in the community are not for it. They're kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
So there's a ColecoVision one coming out that I am interested in. I don't know the price point yet, but that's in the works. So we'll see what happens with that one. But shall we jump in?
I guess so. We lost John again, but we could try.
All right. We can wait for John, or you can go first.
I can go first. I'm going to go first, and I'm going to use up the my easy answer that I want to get it in before anyone else uses it. It's the ultimate, in my opinion, of team-ups. The Avengers.
Ah.
Yeah, I want to get it in before anyone else said it first. So
it wasn't on my list, but I knew you were. I'm glad you did it.
Yes. Not only the comic book version of the Avengers, but the movie version of the Avengers. They're both great team-ups. original members of Thor, Iron Man, Captain America in the comic books, and then branched out to others and multitudes of others. But in the movie wise, that's like the movie that, like, in my opinion, sent like the Marvel universe into the stratosphere. Was the Avengers movie, the first team up of all the characters in one place.
Right.
But yeah, so I love the Avengers. I think they're great. All three of the movies were good, and that's my first pick.
Did you like the MCU or the comic books better?
I prefer I really wasn't. I'm now getting into the comic books, so at this point I would say the movies, but that could change down the road because I just started getting into the Avengers comic books.
I was never a fan of the comic books, the Avengers, but I think the MCU did much better, and what the main detraction to DC is they make the characters with less powers still relevant to the story, and they do it very well. In comparison, you look like Batman versus Superman or Justice League, and Batman just seems like completely and utterly out of place.
Yeah.
Even with all his toys and gadgets, he just seems like he shouldn't be there.
Yeah, that's the one good thing they do with the Avengers is they, like you were saying, is they keep, like, even like Hawkeye, who's really just a guy with arrows, feels just as important to the team as a Thor or a Captain America.
Yeah, Hawkeye.
The movie
I mean,
side of it.
yeah, and then they made his character more important near the end because they kind of sidelined him a lot. I mean, he was there, but you don't really remember him being there.
Well, no, they made him, like, in the later movies, they made him more of an intro, like you were saying. Like, they went to his house and his family, and then he was like Ronin and all that. So
they did trick us because we all thought he was going to die, and I don't know if it was Age of Ultron or one of those. Remember? And they really played it up, and they ended up killing Quicksilver.
Yeah.
And we were all like, they're laying it on thick. They're gonna kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was actually pretty good. They tricked us. John, I'll let you eat. I'll go next while you're eating.
Okay.
For me, I'm kind of what with stuff I grew up with, just like you, Mark, in a way. I remember watching this on reruns, obviously, because this came out in 1978. But growing up was the all-new Super Friends hour. And it was kind of like my first foray into superhero genre. I was too young to get comics by myself, but you had Superman, Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. And Hanna-Barbera are the ones who did the cartoons.
Yes.
But that was kind of like my first oh, these are cool superheroes. This is a lot of fun.
The Wonder Twins and all those guys.
Yes, I think my favorite were exactly, Mark. Was the Wonder Twins with their monkey Gleek.
Yes.
I love the Wonder Twins, and the Wonder Twins were kind of created by Hanna-Barbera, so it's sort of like they created these two characters to be with Super Friends. That all tied in to sell comics and toys.
It was like the way to connect the watcher to the Super Friends, kind of.
Right.
Like they were like the young kids in the group, and then it was kind of like you could be them. You could be the Wonder Twins in the form of Umbrella.
Well, they would turn into an animal, and then Zane could transform to any state of water, which was usually a bucket of water. Like, would turn into water, and then they would have to mop them up into a bucket, and then would turn back. It was always water, an animal and water, and you had a monkey. And do you remember what their what their phrase was?
No.
Wonder Twins powers activate.
I wanted to activate, yes. In form of Jaguar.
Yeah, and they would say form of water.
Yes. Wasn't he could turn to elements though? It wasn't just water, right? He could
just
do other
water.
elements. Was it?
No, water in any state. So rain, maybe fog.
Oh yeah.
Maybe ice. Yeah, any
Yeah.
state of water, right? But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
all new Super
Steam.
Friends Steam. It was kind of my first taste of that genre. Hanna-Barbera made the best cartoons back then. You mean you had Scooby-Doo, you had like Hanna-Barbera, everything, you know. But I remember watching those guys on Saturday morning cartoons. So that is my first pick. Francia, on to you.
I am going to take also something I saw on TV as a young kid. Didn't really collect the comics until later, mainly because the comics were more adult than the presentation that was given to children, and that would be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Damn right.
One of the original parties that all right, Mark disappeared for a moment. One of the original kind of like superhero. Other than on Saturday morning, you also had the X-Men cartoons as well that were wildly popular, but the Turtles were a little more child-oriented. They always had the message that was ingrained in almost every episode was if the individual Turtles worked independently, they would always fail. And it always came back to Splinter telling them, it's like, together, you're unstoppable. Even though you are experts, one-on-one, you will be defeated. And I think that always ironed over again and again. For newer announcements, I don't know if anyone has seen the crossover with Batman, which was a pretty good animated film.
And they have the comic too.
I
don't know. Yeah, the comic, the animated film could be potentially based on. I don't know, but they did in tandem. There's the comic as well. But that cartoon, John, had the best theme song. That theme song was like ingrained into our little brains.
It was.
Yeah.
It's definitely chronologically in my life was probably the first superhero team up.
Yeah, in the movie. Oh my God, when that movie came out, that was like, oh, I was so excited. Go to the theater. I mean, you guys grew up in the area. Do you remember J.C. Penney's had? I want to say it was Raphael or Donatello at J.C. Penney's, and you can go up and get his signature and get a picture with him.
I remember that.
I was there.
I didn't go, but I remember like being depressed that I didn't go.
It was just, it was a guy dressed up as the turtle, and I got my photo, and he signed something, which I lost. I don't know where it is. But I mean, it was pretty cool. But yeah, the turtles were pretty awesome. And John, when was your first? Okay, you get into the cartoon, right? I remember being in school and Eric bringing the Ninja Turtles comic book that was the Image comic, showing it to me, going, this is Ninja Turtles, but this is like the indie comic. This is before the cartoon. And I was just like, what? And I still have it. And I was looking over there. It's in my box. It's all black and white. It's got the turtles in rubble on the cover. And you got a guy with two freaking huge guns on top. And the whole thing is just like, this is crazy, man. Where'd you get this? And like, I couldn't find another issue. But it blew my little mind that there was two iterations of this. You had the kid-friendly, and then you had this more adult-oriented version out there. I wanted more. I was like, I need to find more. I never did, until I got older, obviously. Marc is frozen. Marc.
Yeah.
Back. You okay over there, Marc?
I'm back. Yeah, my internet is all over the place today. There you go.
There we go.
So yeah, I got that when I was younger. My dad sold the house to one of the main artists way back in the 80s.
Mm.
And he was like, "Oh, did your kid like Ninja Turtles?" And I was familiar with the comics.
Yeah.
But he did the artwork, not for the comic. I mean, for the cartoons, but for the comics. So he gave me a few signed copies of like the comics that were out at that point, and then he made this sketch for me.
You should have that framed,
Nice.
man.
Yeah, you should.
Get a little signature at the bottom.
Leaving it on the kitchen. The baby's.
Oh
Very
wow.
cool.
Is that Eastman?
It's on the bedroom floor.
That documentary on Netflix, how the about the toys being made.
Toys
they
that
do-
made it. Yeah, the Ninja
Yeah,
Turtles toys. That was a great one.
that's a depressing one though, because you just
It
see
is,
how that
because,
relationship.
they fell apart.
Yeah, I mean, you had one guy who wanted to go all in, and one guy was just like,
Yeah, I just want to
This is
make it. That's about it.
yeah, I don't care about the merchandising side of things.
Yeah.
And how it tore them apart, and luckily they got to mend mend the relationship a little bit, But it's a depressing one. I mean, it's worth a watch. John, you got to watch the
Really?
Ninja Turtles Toys That Made Us on Netflix. It's depressing, but it's about them and how the relationship strained.
But it's good though. It's not just depressing. It's It's actually interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's fascinating, but depressing all at the same time.
Ryan's really good at selling it though. It's a depressing watch. If you want to be sad, watch this.
It made me sad. I mean, it really did. But anyway,
I was gonna say, actually, that was gonna be one of my picks actually. So John stole one from me, because I don't know if you guys have known this. I think I mentioned it before in the show, but there's 4 Warnock siblings, and each one of us is kind of like adopted a Ninja Turtle. So
yes, I remember.
Yeah.
Which one are
I'm
you?
Leonardo.
I have a request from Kristen, who's behind the camera.
Yes.
Who wants to know who's who?
I'm Leonardo. Josh is Raphael. Mariah is Michelangelo, and Kylie is Donatello.
Now, I agree with Kylie. I think Jake should have been Michelangelo.
No. Jake is more of the outsider, like Raphael is from the movie.
What? I don't. Mariah's Raphael. She got a temper, and so does Raphael.
Well, Mariah's more the goofy, off the wall kind
No,
of.
oh my God, wow.
And she and Michelangelo's the baby of the group, kind of like the youngest.
That's Josh.
No. Mariah's the youngest.
Mentally, that's Josh.
Well, that's not nice. That's not nice at all.
Well, I'm saying he is he's not as independent as everybody else is.
And
When
he's
we were
also
younger,
much more
they were
involved with pizzas.
These were
Yeah.
He's got a
these were also
history,
assigned.
just like
These
Mike.
were also assigned when we were younger, not just
Who signed them?
we all just kind of came
Who
about
assigned them?
organically. The girls probably. I don't remember. I just know I'm Leonardo.
But John makes a good point. Josh did work at a pizza place.
He did.
He's Michelangelo.
Ryan likes Michelangelo, so that's how she got it. That's
All
how.
right. Fair enough.
I don't see much in Josh's character that synchronizes with Raphael.
Yeah, me neither. Raphael has a temper. Mariah kind of has a temper. They met
I'm not in charge. I wasn't in charge of it. You could talk to them about it. We're just assigned a turtle, and that's who I am.
I'm gonna write an email. Dear
Dear
Warnocks,
we're not.
I think the
You should
Ninja Turtles.
You're making way more out of this than it has to be. That's for sure.
That's how I type too. This is
I know it does. I know it's how you type.
like I'm hitting an old.
And then you do the thing at the end, even though you don't have to. You push it across.
Yep.
There's no reason to because you're on a computer, but you still do it anyways because it's how you do it. Yes.
Yep.
Way to go, Conan.
Conan the Barbarian.
Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien.
You called me
Conan the Librarian.
You called me Conan the Barbarian.
Conan the Librarian.
Librarian.
The Librarian.
So Mark, yours is Ninja Turtles.
It would have been, but John took it. So.
John didn't take it. You can just elaborate on it, which you did.
No, I don't like it.
Well, no, I had other options besides that. Like John said last week, I have extra picks. So if someone takes one, I could fill in another pick.
Pick on, my friend. Pick on.
So my second pick is a pick I mentioned a little bit last week in the robots category. The Autobots.
Oh.
The grouping of the Transformers.
Yes.
Like we talked about last week with Optimus Prime, he was my favorite, but I was also a huge fan of the secondary characters like Bumblebee and Prowl and Hound and Sideswipe and all those different characters that were in the Autobots. I was a huge fan of the Transformers. I couldn't get enough of it. The cartoon, like I said last week, is on Netflix now. If you're a 80s kid looking to find something to watch, I would suggest watching that Transformers cartoon on Netflix. It's very, very well done. The storytelling is very well put together, and it's very good. But yeah, so I still have all the. I got to mention it to my brother, and he said that there is a box of toys in the cellar. I got to come check out and see if I can put the toys back together again of the Transformers that I had when I was younger and stuff like that. So yeah, Autobots.
Love it. Love it, Mark. Going back to my childhood, yet again, another cartoon that this is kind of like the cartoon that got me into Marvel Comics is the X-Men, the animated series. Back in 1992 on the Fox Kids Network, which doesn't exist anymore.
But now it's Freeform.
Yeah, it's Freeform. It went from Fox to ABC.
ABC Family.
ABC Family, yeah. But man, the X-Men animated series,
or that was a Family Channel. But
Batman, the animated series. I mean, all these were just like, you're like making cartoons for kids, but then your parents would watch them with you because they were that good. But the X-Men, man, it really opened the door to Marvel. I mean, I would go down to the shop when I lived in Thompsonville and get myself comics like every week. I read like Dick Tracy and all like that kind of stuff. But this cartoon kind of made me get into X-Men because they started putting the animated series X-Men on comic book form. And so it's sort of like my own comic I can get into. Because usually I just read all the stuff my dad had as a kid. So that's all I knew. But I mean, this animated series was awesome. And then the fact that the movies came out and they kind of harken back to that era, which was really cool, and I think that's why I have a soft spot to the X-Men movies. But yeah, the animated X-Men series is like the best. And I know there's like 5 seasons. I think they're on streaming, but they're out of order. So it's like if you try to watch them now, for some strange reason, they're not in the correct order. So you have to go online, get the correct guide to watch them in the correct order, or it will be all messed up. I don't know why they did that. But there you go. Princia, what you got?
Okay. So my next one is more comic-based only. It has a great comic book creator. Probably not his most popular work, only because you'll know which one is his most popular. But I went with The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. As someone that likes to read some of the classics, I thought it was a very interesting take, taking a bunch of literary characters from different works and then creating a superhero team out of these people with these abilities. I think all the characters had rich backgrounds, mainly because they were developed to be independent and not in this shared universe kind of thing. But putting them together, the film was unfortunately a disappointment. But I think maybe now, even if they weren't to revision it as a movie, I think bringing it into like a TV series on either like Netflix or HBO would probably be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
My challenge to you guys is, let's see who knows what's on that team. So
I don't know anybody on that team.
Alan Quartermain.
Sean Connery.
Dude, are you looking at a computer? Because you're not looking at the camera.
No, Sean Connery played Alan Quartermain. Not Dracula's wife, but what's her face? Famke Janssen played like Dracula's wife.
He's reading it. Nobody
I'm
knows
not.
it.
I remember the movie.
Nobody
Captain
remembers the
Nemo.
movie.
Captain Nemo.
As he's looking, as he's reading.
No, because they used the boat from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yep.
Dorian Gray was the other one because they had the picture. I remember the movie. I actually liked the movie. I didn't think it was that bad. And Tom Sawyer, wasn't it? Tom Sawyer was the young guy. Was the American?
Yes.
in the movie.
I don't know.
I don't know if that's from the comic book. I
Of a
know in the
character
movie.
he is in the comics, but
Yeah, I know in the movie I think it was Tom Sawyer.
they also have Invisible Man, Dr. Jekyll and Hyde.
Yes, yeah, and Jekyll and Hyde, yes, yeah,
But
and the villain in the movie was Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes.
I believe so. Yeah.
See,
It had potential, and I think nowadays
it could have been a good movie. It had good actors in it.
Wait,
well, yeah,
you
Sean Connery's out of the picture now, but I just like that concept of bringing unrelated characters that are established, which is one of my big chief complaints with like Suicide Squad. I think that movie would have been better if all those characters had been captured in like solo or team movies, and it had already been introduced with backstories, and then they kind of brought them together. Like think of like a Thunderbolt / Suicide Squad for Marvel. That would be pretty cool if you just took a collection of all the villains you established in the other movies and basically say like the Avengers are off world. We need you guys to protect things.
Yeah,
That would be could be a pretty entertaining movie.
no, it really wasn't. It wasn't like it was one of those movies that could have been better. It could have it was not hard to make that movie better if they had just put forth the effort, but they didn't. Because the concept was good, it just didn't work out.
Well, it's a concept that works better in the comics, and they just didn't do a good job bringing it to the big screen. Also, it came out in 2003, so.
Yeah, and I think also like people didn't know who the actual. I know like John was saying, like if they regular people didn't know who these people were. It was just kind of like they were introduced to them in the movie. It's like not many people knew who Alan Quartermain and Captain Nemo and all these people were.
Right, exactly. Totally. But it is a great, it's a gret concept. The comic, I think, ended. There was one going in 2007. I think they have the Nemo offshoot.
Yeah.
And I know it's changed publishers. So maybe now we're in such a climate where they could make a good series or another movie, and it'd probably be better.
No, I think it could be like in the strain of like Watchmen.
Right.
I think the Watchmen series did well. It was well received. I liked it in the build up, but didn't really like the conclusion of it. It wasn't like Game of Thrones bad. Like conclusion, it just was still let down. Like
really, I enjoyed that ending. I enjoyed it.
But you have to be really clever while writing Dr. Manhattan. And I feel like they made Dr. Manhattan into more of a slave than he was in the comic books. Like there's an element of like him not being able to stop this time loop that's in the comics, but he isn't as powerless. Like in this, he knew exactly what was going to happen.
He always does.
But in the comics, he can stop it because that's not what happens. The only times that he has issues where he gets so easily trapped as he does in the series is when someone interferes with his vision. He had his vision. They just made him they made him almost into a story element where he couldn't break out. The only reason that worked in the original Watchmen series was because they were using the tachyon in the project that he was working with Osmanius to basically cover his vision, and he actually in multiple frames through the series comments that I can't see this particular time. He knew there was a blind spot. He didn't know why. But in this, he didn't have a blind spot. He knew exactly what was going to happen all along,
But he did have a blind spot. He had that one time when he became her husband, that when he had a thing in him that he knew there was that missing time, and he didn't know what would
Yeah,
happen.
but that was good, but it wasn't relevant to him being captured. He knew while he was making dinner that outside they had a vehicle that would capture him. Like he won the entire Vietnam War by himself. Like he could have just incinerated that truck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of looked at it like, I understand the criticisms of the ending. I enjoyed it only because I kind of like, I look at it this way, like Dr. Manhattan, he did everything he wanted to do. He created life. He did it, and now he's bored. But he never stop, like you say, like he never stops. If he's all knowing. So if he knows he's gonna die, he's just gonna die. Just like he had all these powers, but he never cured cancer. He never helped. He never did anything that would help others.
He gave cancer.
Yeah, he gave cancer, but I mean, he never did anything to help anybody because he was just like, well, I'm doing what I foresee to be done. And I think that's, so I kind of looked at it out of context from the comic. But I mean, if you use the same logic as the graphic novel with the show, it does feel a little disconnected. I kind of like had to disconnect the two. I mean, I enjoyed the ending. I feel like he felt like it was his time, and he got to live a life and be human again. I kind of looked at it that way. He got to be human again, and that's probably something he misses because he knows he's going to die. So that would be his story arc, being someone's husband again. But I did like how they kept his identity away from the camera until he became her husband. So like when they're in Vietnam, you just see from the side.
Yeah.
And he's wearing the mask. But I mean, I get what you're saying, John. But I guess for me, I just enjoyed it for what it was. But I love the Easter eggs. The Easter eggs in the show were really cool. I mean, if you know the comic, you see the Easter eggs, and if you don't, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, they turned it more into an element of the story.
Yeah.
Because like even his wife says, she's like, if you know they're outside waiting, why don't we just leave? And he basically said, I can't leave.
Yeah.
But he wasn't like that in the comic. Like he wasn't completely powerless. Because this is the problem with time travel. It doesn't change, but you will be in the path that you choose to take. Like you're not paralyzed. Like you'll never be in a situation where you're defeated unless you want to be defeated.
I think you wanted to
it's
be.
Not like he was a slave to the future. It was the future that he would get to.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I think he wanted to. I think that's why. I think he knew this is what had to be done. That's how I perceived it anyway.
yeah,
I mean, I would have to watch it again, but
that and the whole like giving the powers through the egg, I thought was cutesy, but
well, we don't. I loved how you just saw her gonna step on the water and it cuts to black. I knew they were gonna cut to black. I want to believe that she did stand on water. I thought that was kind of cool.
But the only thing is, if you get the powers, you'll become like John. There's no other way to be a normal human and function in that kind of information stream.
I think that's why they made it ambiguous.
Yeah.
You know, maybe she fell in. Maybe, like, you make a good point there because potentially, if he did that, he knows how torturous this could be for someone. Why would you perpetuate that onto someone else? So
especially someone that you love, supposedly like that.
right,
Like,
right.
Why would
So maybe he didn't
burden her?
Yeah, it's a burden. It becomes a burden over time.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I had two thoughts of trains of thought. There was like, oh my God, that would be so cool. But just having the conversation now would be like, well, that would be a big burden. So maybe he didn't, and maybe she just falls in. But
Maybe.
I think that's a great ending. I just don't do another season. I know they're not. I know they were offered to, but Lindelof said he's done. If another showrunner wants to do something, they can do something, but they did everything they wanted to do. And I think it was perfect the way it is. Let it sit for a while, and then let maybe someone else do something later down the road. I will say, for what people want to say about the show, I think it was better than anything that DC tried to do with the Before Watchmen series, because Before Watchmen was rocky. Some of them were all right, but it wasn't that compelling. So, anyway, back to teams. I don't know where the hell we were.
Well, that was John's, so I think it's
That was John's. Oh, yeah,
my
okay.
turn again? Is my last one, I think?
I got one. I go, I think. No, you go, then I go. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think what spawned in the Watchmen is League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was also written by Alan Moore.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. All right, I'm back. There we go. Okay. My last one is, am I still here?
You're here.
Okay. I'm like paranoid now that I'm going to drop out in the middle of saying something. My last one is Mobile Armored Strike Command, otherwise known as MASK.
Ooh.
The animated television series that was produced by DIC Audiovisual from the 80s.
You love the mask, Mark.
It was animated in Japan and then brought over. I do love the Mask. Mask of the Special Task Force led by Matt Tracker, who operate transforming armored vehicles in their ongoing battle against the criminal organization Venom, otherwise known as the Vicious Evil Network of Mayhem. With emphasis on superpowered helmets called masks, worn by the characters of both factions. Venom's primary goal was obtaining money through their robbery, extortion, counterfeiting, kidnapping, or attempting to steal historical artifacts, but Mask was always there to foil their plans. That was from Wikipedia because I couldn't remember the exact stuff of that.
Yeah.
But from doing the research on Mask, I found that there were some interesting people who wrote for the series on television. Chuck Lorre wrote some episodes of Mask.
Wow.
He was the producer of like many shows, like 2.5 Men and Big Bang Theory and a bunch of other stuff.
Yep.
So that was kind of crazy. But that was like the biggest name that I saw on there. Fred Ladd was another one. I don't remember exactly what he did, but
Okay.
so yeah, I was kind of crazy when I saw that. I was like, oh my gosh. But the only thing that's because I thought it was on longer than it actually was, but it was only 2 seasons.
I just feel bad. I don't like when people bring that
Do you know that?
No, remember
So
Jason
Jay
Brass,
Graves is a
We get a chance, I can try one.
he
Yes.
gave you the box set, and we watched it.
Yes.
It wasn't that good.
no. What was the first episode was very racist. It had a bunch of like African people in it, and they were drawn very inappropriately.
Yep.
In 2011, Shout Factory acquired the Region 1 DVD rights and released the first season of the original series, all 65 episodes of the first series, because it was originally produced out of Japan and the UK. So instead of seasons like we do, 13 episodes, they did a series per season. So the first season was a series of 65 episodes.
Wow.
And then in the second season, it centered more around auto racing instead of crime fighting. That only lasted 10 episodes. So that was the other season of the series, which has never been released. It's owned by Cookie Jar Entertainment, and they have not ever released, as far as I know, the second season, the 10 episodes of Mask. So,
wow.
And there is a possibility, from looking and doing my research on this, that some big names have been attached to writing a screenplay for a movie. Such names as Michael Grabon, or Michael Chapon, I should say, Brian K. Vaughan of Why the Last Man, Ex Machina, Runaways, Saga, and Paper Girls fame.
Yep.
Other big names that have been attached to this so far have been F. Gary Gary, who is has directed some movies and music videos, and Chris Bremer in February was just announced to be penning a script for a Mask movie.
Let's see if it goes anywhere. That's like a Netflix movie.
Yeah, but I remember Mask, and it was awesome. I remember they had the helicopter. It was a motorcycle. It turned into a helicopter, and there was like a Trans Am, I think, turned into a boat.
Yeah, the toys were awesome. Awesome
Toys were the best. And they had the one was the car, and then the doors would pull out, and it would turn into a plane, and it'd be wings, and you could fly. And they had the helmets that would come off and everything. But yeah, the toys were better than the cartoon.
Oh God, yeah. Totally.
But yeah, Mask was my other pick of.
Love it.
I was addicted when I was a kid. I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. Now I watch it and it's not good at all. It's terrible. But as a kid, it was great.
Yeah.
I thought I heard dick pic. Maybe I'm losing the internet.
Dick pic. Marc picked the dick pic.
That's all I heard was it went short and it said dick pic.
Wow.
That was your last choice?
Dick pic.
Mask.
A team of dick pics?
A team of dick pics, yes.
You had little
Lemon Party was my last pick.
Cabin Party, yeah.
Lemon Party was my final group that I wanted.
My God, oh God. My final one.
I blame you for that, Brian. I would never know where that was until I met you.
What, Lemon Party?
Yes. You were on a kick about that for a while. You would just post on random people's things, Lemon Party.
I thought it was funny. When I discovered what a Lemon Party was.
Yes, that and Meatloaf Farts.
Meatloaf Farts. All right, let's move away from this.
Yes.
Meatloaf Farts.
Actually, eat
Meatloaf Farts.
My last one is when I got into comics. I was huge. You had Darkhawk and Sleepwalker, who had just come out, and I was really into those guys. And Doctor Strange decided to bring back the Defenders.
Yes.
Well, in '93, he brings back the Secret Defenders, and it included Wolverine, Darkhawk, Spider-Woman, Spider-Man, Hulk, Ghost Rider, and Sleepwalker. And you had Doctor Strange was kind of like the boss,
leader,
the leader of all this, right?
Yes.
And it only lasted 25 issues, but I was a huge Sleepwalker fan. It got me into the Secret Defenders, which I have my issue right here still for my number 5.
Oh man.
And this was
have you found? Are you the only person that's a Sleepwalker fan?
I'm gonna warn you, girl.
Are you like the only person I ever met that likes Sleepwalker?
Sleepwalker was like my favorite.
You're not in the
Yeah.
I finished my run too, Marc. I got them all.
Wow, that's amazing.
Robert Kirkman is a Sleepwalker fan because he wanted to bring it back.
No, please don't.
I liked it.
I know.
Anyway.
I'm not saying I'm not saying it's not good, but I just don't want Robert Kirkman to bring it back.
Oh, also one of the most cliche taglines: "Get your kicks on 66."
Yeah.
Used constantly in comics back then. I mean,
Yes.
there's countless times they used that slogan.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, the Secret Defenders was kind of like my first outside the realm of Justice League or the Avengers.
Regular superheroes, more mystical.
And it was kind of like a summer event. It was a 25-issue event, and it was so cool to have like my favorites all together. And I was just like, oh, the Secret Defenders are so cool. And then it made me realize, oh, there was a history with the Defenders, and it kind of opened that door for me in comics. Also, it made me read outside of what I was reading. So it was like, I read these comics. Oh, I guess I have to get this now. And of course, that's become a continuing trend in the comic book world.
Yeah. When I was doing Jeremy's dad's collection after he passed away, he had the whole run of the Defenders.
You have to have a little boy. It's like
Original issues.
Oh, the original?
Yeah, and actually ended up Scott Pellin actually bought them off Jeremy.
Yeah, here's the new Defenders.
Yeah.
This was older.
Yeah. But they had like the regular Defenders from like the 60s.
Oh yeah, this is 84.
Yeah.
This came out in 84.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so cool. The Defenders are pretty awesome. It would be kind of cool if they ever brought them into the movies. It'd be kind of neat.
That would be. I was watching Doctor Strange yesterday, just a little bit of it, and it's like there's a whole bunch of stuff in there that they could be using that they just never actually really. They haven't touched the surface
Yeah,
of all the Doctor Strange stuff.
they haven't scratched the surface. But it would be kind of cool if they did that in the future. Now that all the properties are kind of together, and there's harmony with them, I think they could pull it off. But there's my last pick. John, what do you got?
On Facebook, I'm back.
So this week, a lot of the choices got selected. I think we had probably out of all the countdowns, we probably had the most overlap. I had a bunch of things that everyone else had. So like the Secret Defenders, my next group, which is the only other group I collected as a kid, I collected very few Avengers. Like I said, I wasn't a big fan for the comics. I had a subscription to X-Men, so I collected those. The only other hero group I collected, only because my favorite hero was in it, was the New Warriors. The character in question is Darkhawk, who was on the Secret Avengers or Secret Defenders. So I have all the Secret Defender things, especially the ones that involve him. But the New Warriors had an interesting role. It was one of those comics where there's a lot of comics where it's a coming of age of the superhero on its own, but this was like a coming of age as a group. So all the characters are very young, basically amateurs. A lot of them don't even a lot of their powers evolved over the series of the things as people became better at using them. So it ran into that. They also ran into basically the first Civil War event when they were the
one of the New Warriors explodes, and that's what causes.
They were fighting Nitro when Nitro exploded. While they were fighting them and taking out a school in Connecticut.
That causes the whole Civil War situation.
And then after that, obviously the party kind of dissolved and changed. But I collected their comics. I started when Darkhawk moved over, and then I even continued when, because he was more of like a guest appearance. He wasn't in every one of their episodes, but I got into him through him. And I think what made it so interesting was what made like Spider-Man so endearing versus like Batman. Batman's like an established guy, and he's not really changing. He's like the grim anti-hero. But Spider-Man was like in every person that had to deal with struggles in their real life, as in addition to being a superhero. And I think that kind of story projected into a group environment, which is kind of similar to like Teen Titans if you go DC, but I never really collected that much DC, so I'm not familiar with their story background. Nowadays, which I haven't watched on Hulu, is another group that's even younger, is the Runaways, which I want to get into watching.
Yeah.
I heard that it's pretty good, but that deals with like legacy superheroes where all their parents are superheroes, they're supervillains, and dealing with that, and then they have their own powers. And I think even Darkhawk had made a guest appearance in some Runaway films or comics when Darkhawk was part of the West Coast Avengers for a short period of time.
The West Coast.
West Coast Avengers.
West Coast was a hard sell for me.
It was a tough. I didn't understand the whole breaking up.
If you have the East Coast, they're in New York.
Franchising the Avengers.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Gotta have a West Coast.
I guess.
Well, that was our picks, gentlemen. There's good stuff today.
Yeah, good
mix.
Good picks there.
Went down memory lane.
Yeah.
We'll have to figure out what we're doing for next week.
I have a couple ideas. I'll throw at you after we get off the air here.
All right. We're on an adventure.
Tig watch. Watch those glasses.
There's the dog.
Puppy watch.
Puppy watch.
And Tig's at daycare.
It's a good place for him.
Good care.
Yeah.
It is.
All right, Marc, John. So we've been doing pretty good on the old Facebook.
Yes.
People listening to us, you can like us on Facebook at Geekonomics and check out our
Yep.
YouTube channel.
Find us on the Podbean as well, at Geekonomics Podcast. Also, check out Bobby on the Dungeonetics, our sister show. He texted while we were doing the show. He's on his way to Virginia on vacation. He's going to a private beach place that he has rented, I believe. So I sent a picture of him driving the car with everyone sleeping in it, besides
Good for
himself,
him.
of course, because he's driving. So
Right.
yeah, so it's that time of year. Everyone's trying to get out, find ways to break up the monotony of being in lockdown. So
Yeah, we're gonna try to attempt to go to Rocky Neck. So
yeah,
that's our goal this week.
yeah,
We'll see if it happens.
yeah. So
But yeah, all right.
All
It's been a
right.
show.
it's been one.
We'll see
See
everybody
you all
next week.
Everyone be good, be safe, and we'll see you all back here next week.